Hey guys, welcome to a new video. Like, comment and subscribe if you enjoy. Without any further interruptions, enjoy the what if. He asked as he peered into Naruto's eyes, which were frozen wide open. I wished that she would have just tried living a normal life. I warned her and everything. I let her go and told her to leave everything behind on Ohara, but now it comes to this and I no longer have a choice. He sighed and backed away from Naruto. Now you're too dangerous to be left alive. He drew his hand back for a punch when he noticed Naruto's eyes behind the icy shell change to have a strange orange pigment on the outsides of them and a strange ripple pattern in his eyes themselves. The ice around his face began sweating off water intensely. What the? A fireball erupted from Naruto's face like a flamethrower centralized around his mouth as he melted the ice from his head and forced Aokiji backwards lest he be hit by the attack. Naruto took a deep breath as his head was the only thing free. Damn, that was close. I couldn't breathe in there. Glad I had one clone left in waiting. His face took on a massive look of strain as it looked like he was trying to break the ice with pure muscle. You won't break that, Aokiji said as he saw Naruto struggle. Not from the inside, you won't. Your body should have been one with the ice, frozen solid even if you were able to free your head. Chakra, Admiral asshole, Naruto said in a struggling voice. I've been warming my body with chakra since I've gotten out here. It's cold as hell, and Sage Mode makes me one with the environment, so my body pretty much got its heat back when I changed. Which means that in a few seconds. The sound of loud cracking came before the ice encasing Naruto's body smashed and fell to the ground in shards, his Rinnegan eyes out and ready. Okay, your little attacking spree is over. Uzumaki Naruto is manning the helm now, and one more thing, he said intently. You're damn right, this was all for Nico Robin. If people like us didn't fight for each other, then who would? Naruto looked at his sword. Samahata, go to the Straw Hat's ship. You can sense the crew's chakra from here, can't you? GGGGGG, yeah right, the user just wants me to leave, just like that. How much sense does that make? Naruto rolled his eyes at the sword. If you stay, then eventually he's going to freeze you and I'll have to thaw you out. Do you really want to do that? Samahata didn't say anything at all as Naruto channeled his chakra over to the sword that began to grow in size and grow a mouth with sharp teeth at its top. Get going. Samahata turned and began tearing across the ground like a missile as it headed towards the Straw Hat ship. Aokiji watched the sword tear across the landscape. You're going to protect your sword. Naruto turned back to Aokiji with a serious look on his face. I protect everyone that is precious to me. Understand what I'm saying? As Aokiji opened his mouth to answer, Naruto blurred from sight with his raw speed in Sage Mode. Aokiji did the same, but didn't get too far before he was socked with a kick that sent him flying across the icy wasteland before slamming into the side of his ice spire. Aokiji pulled himself out and landed on his feet, glaring at Naruto. He actually hit me. No sword at all this time. Does he have haki too? Naruto's arms were crossed. I wish I had time to gather enough nature chakra for Sage Mode before the Buster Call ships got here. I had to waste a batch just to take those ships down. This is my only salvo. I need to save my knockout shots for when I damn sure need them, but hopefully I won't have to use them to put him down. He muttered to himself as he saw Aokiji take his shot and keep standing. Damn, this guy is durable. Okay Uzumaki, it's clear that you've got more than a few tricks up your sleeve. His body began to frost over as a frozen aura started emitting from his body. Let's try this again. He said before blurring from sight. Naruto did the same, and proved that he was still faster as he immediately appeared behind Aokiji set to attack with a high kick when he felt his body begin to freeze over again, starting with his toes and going up his feet. Ryu, cold shoulder. You like attacking from blind spots and from behind. He turned abruptly and grabbed Naruto's arm, finding freezing him to be far more slow-going than before he activated Sage Mode. Naruto felt the tearing cold in his frosted-over legs and the feeling of his arm's functions beginning to slow up as Aokiji tried to freeze him. Fighting through the feeling, the blonde launched a punch at Aokiji that he moved his head out of the way of. Hit me once, shame on you. Hit me twice. He still wound up taking a blow on his cheek that freed Naruto of his grip and sent him rocketing back across the icy ground. That has to be haki. He hit me without even touching me this time. I don't care about your stupid haki. Naruto shouted as he rushed at Aokiji again with his fist drawn back. everything that's happened here and at Water 7 is because of you. You're going to pay. Not from you, I won't. Aokiji shouted back, deciding to not rely solely on his powers any longer and to fight Naruto's haki with his own. The two smashed fists against one another and traded kicks that exuded thunderous concussive force again and again. You're still not as strong as someone like Whitebeard, and you won't be overpowering me without strength like that. Not like this. Naruto unloaded a punch on Aokiji that landed simultaneously with a kick from the Iceman that knocked them both away from one another. This is the kind of battle I always knew I'd end up fighting again one day. He's really strong, just like that other admiral. Heh. The world is really an amazing place. Naruto rushed back at Aokiji and drove a kick deep into his chest that sent him sprawling wildly across the ground. Just as his body bounced off of the ground into the air, Naruto was right there to deliver a hard spinning aerial kick that sent him smashing into and across the icy plains of the Admiral's own creation. Aokiji stood back up, bleeding from the mouth and a cut on the bridge of his nose from Naruto's attack. Enough, he said resolutely as a massive field of ice spikes emerged from the ground, encompassing a wide area in an attempt to impale Naruto. Any jump that would avoid the spikes would leave him hanging in the air, and that was what Aokiji expected Naruto to do. Avoid his field of ice spikes and become a sitting duck. Too bad Naruto was known for being one of the most unpredictable people in existence. A path of ice mirrors formed through softer points in the attacking ice field that Naruto rushed into and used to move faster than Aokiji could keep his eyes on. Aokiji tried destroying the ice mirrors as they formed before one mirror formed in front of his face, one that Aokiji actually smashed into shards, a shard that Naruto emerged from with a Rasengan in hand, missing the Admiral when he escaped the singular path that Naruto had blazed to get to him with a lucky leap away from the battle-hardened shinobi. Naruto's eyes immediately snapped to Aokiji, who was looking at him in awe. You made those mirrors from ice and moved through them, he said, almost in disbelief. How did you do that? Naruto stood up from his missed attack. Anything that has to do with elements I can do. Or will be able to do eventually if I live long enough. I don't understand, Aokiji admitted freely to Naruto, a devil fruit that allows one to manipulate the very elements themselves. All of them with enough training. What kind of ungodly power does that have the potential for? Naruto lifted his hands in a balance beam motion. Everything is trial and error though. I had to teach myself how to use these Hyouden ice release attacks just like how I'm teaching myself how to use Mokuden wood release. From memories of watching ninja who had spent their entire lives honing their craft with them, I'm piecing together the more prominent ones in my mind from sheer memory. But it's been years. He sighed in low spirits as he thought, and since I don't know the first thing about where to start to learn, most of the ones I've seen, those two are the only ones I can use right now, and those took me 50 years to both learn. He put up his confidence once more. Just give it time, I'll have more. He smirked at the Admiral. That one was called Maku Hyusho, demonic ice crystal mirrors, by the way. He really is one of the most dangerous men in the world, Aokiji thought. Dragon is dangerous because of what he represents and the sheer influence the man can wield along with scary power. But Uzumaki Naruto, just off of sheer potential power alone, has to be considered a prospective threat on Dragon's level, as he doesn't seem to shirk from any fight he might have with us, especially if he believes in the reason he's fighting. Aokiji narrowed his eyes. It's such a pain to fight you, Uzumaki Naruto. You certainly live up to your epithet as a seed of war. I'll have to think up another one for you once this is all over. I'll accept. Sexy Toad Sage of Six Paths if you're taking requests on that one. Naruto quipped. Now I'm done with this. I have a crew and good friends waiting on me, and I have a woman that needs to know not to be afraid of you as long as I'm around to prove a point to. Naruto could have sworn he had seen a slight raise of Aokiji's lips into a smile before, for his normally impassive battle face took over once more. Then please, come and prove that point to Nico Robin if you can, Uzumaki Naruto. I hate having to put this much effort into fights, but if I don't then you'll completely kill me, I know it. The kid gloves are off, kid. For the love of Kami, I'm so sick of being called kid. I'm probably 3 times this guy's age at least. Naruto's whiskered face took on a grimace as he prepared to fight again. I'm feeling good, I've still got tons of chakra left for Sage Mode since I haven't tried any knockouts yet. Alright, let's do this. Aokiji placed his arms out facing Naruto and projected his Busoshoku haki at Naruto as a pure brute force wall. Naruto's Rinnegan eyes could see the pure wall of nothing but physical forceful will coming at him and lifted his arms across his chest to block. Naruto held fast against the blast, cracking the ground with his feet as he stayed rooted and only slid back 3 feet at the most. His body was toughly reinforced by Sage Mode. The only sign that anything had been done to those watching with the naked eyes was the fact that Naruto's clothes were shredded by the harsh force. Wow, that was some serious pressure. He said, smiling to reveal bloody teeth that showed he had indeed taken damage on the inside. You could give the cage-level ninja from my time a run for their money. 1. Tough brat, Aokiji said when he saw Naruto simply smile after taking his blast full-on without even grimacing in pain, yelling out, or anything. Fine, you've got it. Aokiji placed his hands on the ground, seemingly causing a tremor before a spiky mountain of ice raised from the ground to alter the battlefield from just flat ground. Aokiji jumped from his spot on the ground to the highest tip of the peak after 3 jumps. Naruto scratched his head at the massive mountain that had been formed before he spit his blood on the ground and made hand seals. Raiden. Gion, lightning release. False darkness. Naruto fired the equivalent of a sniper shot at Aokiji, who held up his hands and defended with his haki shield, bouncing the attack off and sending off to destroy a nearby ice peak. The admiral looked at his own hands and saw that a great portion of both of them were burned black from Naruto's lightning and couldn't stop shaking. The two glared at each other, the respective gauntlets from both thrown down. Naruto wiped the blood from his mouth as Aokiji turned his hands to ice to attempt to negate the damage that Naruto had done to him. XXX Soren vs Vice Admiral Onagumo. Spandam's head poked out from hiding as the sounds of Soren and Onagumo's battle stopped. Is it over? He asked no one in particular. Where are all of the Marines that are left on this ship? Those fools left me up here all by myself. He roared angrily. Don't they know who I am? I'm the chief of CP9. I'll make sure all of their useless careers end. Wow, he heard a young voice he had thought would have been dead by now. You didn't run away like I figured you would have. He saw a bloody Soren staring at him with his arms crossed and a calm look on his face. Either you're brave, or you're way stupider than I pegged you for. He shrugged. It doesn't matter, I'll just kill you and leave. You're the reason I came here anyway. Spandam began stammering in fear as Soren's heavy boot steps began echoing off of the wooden deck as he started walking towards him. Stay away from me. Do you know what killing me will do to you? Nope. Soren said absently, and I don't really care. You're a sorry excuse for a human being and would do more good for the world as an acidic puddle than you ever did in your entire career. Soren's cheeks puffed out as he prepared to completely coat Spandam in acid and end things there when the deck behind him broke open and Onagumo's body appeared, poised to attack as he wrapped all 8 of his sharply barbed legs around Soren to bind him in place. Kumo Otoshi to Kogeki, spider trapdoor attack. Onagumo sunk his fangs into Soren's shoulder and neck and delighted in hearing the man cry out in pain. Now do you see how foolish fighting me was? Feel free to think about that as you feel your organs liquefy from my venom. Soren's cries of pain slowly turned to laughter that became more and more manic. What? Is my poison corroding your pea-brain already? My bodily fluids are all acid, you fucking idiot. Soren yelled as Onagumo's eyes widened. You can't corrode anything inside of me. As a matter of fact, you just fucked up. Guess what my strongest possible acid is? Raw. Onagumo let go of Soren and backed away, yelling in anguish as his fangs dissolved down to nothing before his eyes. The legs that had wrapped around Soren's body began burning intensely due to the barbs on them that had punctured his body deeply in order to bind him in place, being covered in his blood. You son of a bitch. How dare you? I'll kill you. Soren didn't say a word. He simply coated his right hand in his own blood and prepared a strike as his own blood and his acid around the hand activated to form a red glow. Ibi Ibi no Kai. Ibi Ibi no Deba. Rot Rot blood. Rot Rot knife. He dashed forward and proceeded to thrust his knife hand into Onagumo's chest effortlessly as it punched through the back of his chest. Onagumo's eyes widened as he let off a death rattle with his opponent's entire arm shoved through his chest. The hole in Onagumo's chest burned widely from the potency of the acid, expanding from the puncture that had been caused from the initial wound. Eventually his torso no longer had enough to stay intact and it collapsed on itself, leading Onagumo's body to fall to the ground in a heap. Soren pulled his hand back, the blood that belonged to him coating his body and arm now dried up. He began breathing heavily and swaying in place. Now that's what's called taking care of business. He looked around. Now where's what's his face? He noticed a rope leading down the side of the ship and looked over the side to see Spandam on the side of the ship that wasn't frozen by Aokiji, paddling away in a rowboat. Oh, you've got to be fucking kidding me, I can't chase him. He then dropped to his knees on the deck. And my devil fruit gave me anemia. That sucks, he said, taking the flask from his waist and taking in the last few dregs that he had at the very bottom before standing back up and taking a deep breath and focusing his entire body into a tense figure. Ebi no tsunami rot tidal wave. XXX Spandam laughed to himself as he swiftly rowed away from the ship he had escaped. Stupid devil fruit users think they're so strong. Why don't you swim for me, you useless morons? He taunted to no one in particular. The sound of crashing fluid came from behind him and he turned his head to see nothing but a large wave of green liquid coming from the deck of the Buster Call ship right towards him. The man let out a girlish shriek as the large wave slammed down on him and his little boat. XXX Soren smirked to himself as he heard Spandam's shriek. He fell on the deck face down from blood loss. Gotcha, you little bitch. He muttered as he began to crawl weakly towards the other side of the ship to find his way down. He fell off of the escape rope. He tried sliding down and landed on the ground where he saw something barreling through the ice before stopping in front of him. Samahata. Samahata stopped in front of Soren before burrowing under him and heading off again at high speed to find the Straw Hat ship with Soren stuck to the sword's rough skin. Ow, damn it. Take it easy. I've already lost a ton of blood. I don't need to lose any more. XXX Naruto vs Aokiji. Naruto rushed at Aokiji's elevated position atop the mountain of ice he formed as Aokiji raised two perpendicular pillars of ice to smash him between them. Senjutsu, Rasenrengan, Sage Technique, Spiraling Group Spheres. The two Sage Mode charged Rasengans in his hands were used to pulverize the pillars before they could harm Naruto himself as he continued to draw nearer and nearer to Aokiji. Kuri no Shugeki, Ice Bombardment. From the mountain of ice, large boulder-sized spheres, twice Naruto's size at least, began shooting out at the blonde light cannon fire. Every one that he dodged took out a way back down the progressively higher and higher ice mountain that Aokiji had formed. However, Naruto continued to press ahead. The ice-wielding admiral was not done yet as he still had more attacks ready to go. Isu Temu Kapuzuru, Ice Time Capsule. A massive avalanche formed from the mountain beneath him that crashed towards Naruto with the intent to flash freeze him once more, not giving him a chance to find anywhere to escape to, even if there was anywhere to go. Naruto found himself in range of Aokiji at long last and rolled through a quick series of hand seals and finished them as he puffed out his cheeks. Kaden. Dienden Fire Release. Big Flame Bullet. Naruto fired off a massive ball of oil that was ignited as it left his mouth and flew up to hit the ice, negating the attack through the middle so that Naruto could continue up through the steam that the two clashing opposite attacks created. Konoha Goriki Senpu Leaf Powerful Whirlwind. Naruto threw a hard, nearly untraceable spinning back kick at Aokiji's head that came close to hitting, but still missed, even with the backlash from his Kawazu Kumite Frog Kata style of fighting. Aokiji put up a hockey shield to negate Naruto's own aura attack. Instead of kicking the shit out of Aokiji, Naruto simply knocked him back off of his perch when his nature chakra clashed with Aokiji's hockey shield. Aokiji fell backwards off of his peak and began to slide down the backside of the mountain, using his control of ice to shave down anything that would stab him as he passed over it, using his body as a human toboggan, rocketing away from Naruto in his full ice form. The mountain began to crumble under Naruto's feet and collapsed. Naruto jumped into the air just as it began falling apart and formed two Kage Bunshin at his side as he saw now as a good opportunity to finish the battle off as long as Aokiji was trying to conceal himself in the mist of snow and ice flurries that came from his mountainous construct collapsing. He knew he wasn't just sitting there for no reason. He was planning an attack, and Naruto knew it. So why not hit first with something he knew would end the fight now? With me hanging in the air like this, Rasenryukuchi would catch me in its explosion at this range, and I can't take that hit from myself and get back up, especially since I only have one shot with it and my Sage Mode would fade. Rasenshuriken has two shots, and it'll cut through anything he has prepared like a hot knife through butter. Lifting his hand in the air, Naruto prepared the attack alongside his clones until it took the large shuriken shape that let him know it was ready. Fudden. Rasenshuriken, wind release. Spiraling shuriken. Naruto let fly with the deadly wind jutsu at the cloud of snow and ice Aokiji was hiding in. Instead of the sound he had become accustomed to hearing when he scored a direct hit, and instead of seeing the dome of expanding wind that would accompany it, Naruto heard a sound reminiscent of a buzzsaw grinding into something sturdy. What the fuck is sturdy enough for this thing to not just plow right through? The icy mist cleared to show a thick, dense ice cube with Aokiji in the exact center of it as Naruto's Rasenshuriken cut through it at a steady pace. Aokiji could see that it wasn't going to stop Naruto's attack, just slow it down, and he moved down through the ice cube to the icy ground, moving the ice aside and hiding underneath the surface. It's not that easy to dodge. Naruto cried as the Rasenshuriken stopped and expanded in the middle of the ice. Naruto landed on the ground and began running away from his Rasenshuriken just as it exploded in its massive wind dome that began dicing up the entire ice cube and cutting a series of deep faults into the entire island of ice. Naruto landed on the ground near one of the massive faults he had cut into the island, gave it a look of approval. Rasenshuriken can still cut through damn near anything. His eyes then started to search for Aokiji again. Someone like that wouldn't go down so unceremoniously. Naruto still had to spot the body to claim victory. He then felt the temperature snap even lower than it had been for the duration of the battle. Naruto's sharp Rinnegan eyes locked firmly on an influx of power coming from the direction of the island that formerly held the Tower of Justice. Naruto immediately broke out in a sprint towards the island when he stopped in his tracks upon getting close enough. Without saying a word, Naruto formed two Kage Bunshin and made a Rasengan in his right hand, cocking his arm back for an overhand throw while his clones worked frantically on channeling fire chakra to the Rasengan. Aokiji had by now formed a mammoth ice figure from his mouth the size of 100 times his body that was so solid and cold that its mere presence was lightly freezing a solid layer over the untouched ground of the island he was standing on. The figure took the form of a huge pheasant before Aokiji began to direct it at Naruto. Isukai. Bo Kiji Kuchibashi, Ice Mass. Violent Pheasant Beak. XXX. The entirety of both crews had seen Naruto and Aokiji's struggle escalate again and again. And now they were all to bear witness to a mammoth attack from Aokiji that was to be directed right at Naruto. None of them said a word, they all simply watched with held breath. If Naruto was hit with that, it wouldn't matter what he had left up his sleeve. The second his body was frozen solid, this time he would be crushed into the wind by the rest of the attack. Before any of them could count Naruto out, from the blonde himself, a huge burning red dragon's head formed above his diminutive frame, one that grew to match the size of Aokiji's attack. It was so hot it began to rapidly melt the ground that Naruto was standing on without even touching it, forcing the shinobi to stand atop the watery pit he began forming in the ice by the sheer heat of his jutsu. XXX. Naruto's clones dispelled with the completion of the jutsu's formation and Naruto prepared to lob the jutsu overhead. I can kiss Sage Mode goodbye with this one, but if he can get up from it then he's as strong as he deserves credit for. But no one gets up from this, because nothing's ever left after this. Kaden. Rasenryukuchi, Fire Release. Spiraling Dragon's Maw. Naruto threw the dragon overhead with a mighty shout as it barreled across the landscape and opened its burning red maw to reveal the evil red giant Rasengan orb at its core. Aokiji's giant-sized pheasant hit Naruto's giant-sized dragon with a sound of a massive collective hiss as the two sides battled against one another. Naruto stared intently, his hands connected to and controlling the tail of the dragon as the two powerful techniques battled it out. His eyes returned to their normal blue color and the orange pigment around his eyes having vanished. Come on. My dragon has to be hotter than his giant bird thing is cold. Come on Rasenryukuchi. Aokiji kept pumping more and more ice from his mouth to fuel his attack, exhausting himself, while Naruto's own was fading, the self-sustaining orb in its core slowing in its rotation, which disrupted the stability of the volatile fire element Rasengan and forced it to explode prematurely, obliterating Aokiji's massive pheasant and expanding to hit both him and Naruto. XXX. With the others, everyone stood staggered at the mammoth explosion that had rocked the already tumultuous island of ice as finally the cracks in it spread and broke through, breaking the island apart and allowing the ice to start sinking underneath the now reassertive ocean waters. Frankie, the least attached to the blonde that had been waging battle against the admiral, spoke first. So, did he win or did he lose? I can't see either one of them from here. Nojiko had a smile on her face as she could see the answer through the scope of her rifle. Robin did as well, and she had tears in her eyes to go with her relieved face because she could also hear every second of the conflict between Naruto and Aokiji. XXX Naruto slowly waded ashore, his bare torso covered in deep burn wounds and a stern look on his face as he ignored the ocean water splashing against him, covering him and aggravating his injuries. Naruto didn't have to go too much further inland on the island to find Aokiji laying in the rubble of what used to be the Tower of Justice. As Aokiji, who lay motionless on the ground as seawater trickled into the huge craterous remains, watched Naruto get closer and closer before reaching down to his burned and wounded body, he shut his eyes and waited for Naruto to finish him only to feel a sharp flick on his forehead. He opened his eyes to see Naruto walking away from him slowly. You didn't kill me. Why aren't you going to kill me? Naruto stopped walking, but didn't turn around to face him. You get a pass. One pass. Aokiji's face echoed his confusion until Naruto explained, 20 years ago on Ohara you let Robin-chan leave. You didn't kill her. I heard you when you said that. He turned over his shoulder and looked at Aokiji. That means that you don't blindly follow orders that you know are wrong. You let a defenseless little girl leave when you knew that it was wrong to lay a hand on her. Aokiji found that he couldn't move. This still doesn't mean anything, Uzumaki. I still can't do anything. I have my orders. I never said that it did change anything between you, Robin-chan, or me. Naruto admitted with a sigh, but consider this karma of sorts. You let her live, so I'm letting you live. But if we fight again for any reason like this ever again, if I ever find out that you're pulling the strings on something that harms one of my precious people, I'll kill you. He narrowed his eyes at Aokiji. Now you know I can. Now you know I will, so you take this warning seriously. Aokiji stared at Naruto defiantly until the man started to laugh deeply. Even though Naruto could see that every chuckle racked his frame to let out, the man continued to laugh. I thought that the straw hat kid she fell in with was a stand-up guy that would only get stronger, and then I run into you. A man that would tear apart the Buster Call just for her. I don't know what to say other than I'm glad that she found people like you guys. He coughed up blood and stopped laughing. I don't regret what I did. It was my choice, one of the few that I'm allowed to make for my own personal justice instead of the Marines, absolute justice, in my station. Naruto shook his head and kept walking away. No, you always have a choice, Aokiji. If you don't think you have the freedom to go by your own justice, then get a high enough rank to do it. You're supposed to be one of the top guys, right? He held up a badly burned arm in a thumbs up. If you can do it, change the Marines and their view on justice, or I'll do it for you, and that's the last thing you want me to do. Fair warning. Naruto looked over his shoulder and gave him a grin. Oh, and if it ever comes up, tell the world government to stay away from the elemental nations. It would be more trouble that it's actually worth, and not just because of me. It's too far out of the way, and the people there aren't very good about letting people tell them what to do. Aokiji would have nodded if he could move. With the combination of Naruto's attacks wearing on him and him laying in water, he couldn't do anything. Naruto then looked out nearby to see the Straw Hat ship going merry sailing close by. That's my ride. I would say it was nice hanging out with you, but it really wasn't. I'm half past dead at this point, Datbeo. He finished with a yawn as he walked on the water to meet them halfway. As Naruto's presence faded from Aokiji's senses, he mulled around his interaction with him in his head, him having nothing else to do until someone came to find him. Uzumaki Naruto. A grin worked its way to his face before he shook his head and he started laughing again. I really shouldn't be laughing. Guys like that are more trouble than the world can handle most of the time. He looked over his own numerous injuries. I definitely can't let this happen again the next time I see that guy. XXX Naruto's hand grabbed the side of the ship before he pulled himself over the side of the deck and landed on his back staring up at the sky. I really don't want to get up. He said, finding his exhaustion from the day's events finally reaching him, the adrenaline's worn off. Chopper was quickly at Naruto's side checking over his wounds. It's alright Chopper, I'm not going to die. But all of these wounds, and if you don't get decent treatment you'll get an infection and die. Chopper said frantically as the little reindeer did what he could for Naruto. A small laugh left Naruto's body. This won't kill me. It hurts though. He then noticed everyone beginning to gather around him. Hey everybody. Guess whose ass I just kicked? You'll never figure it out. Like a floodgate opened, Naruto was bombarded with questions from all sides, so much that he didn't know what to answer first. Oi. Let me sleep, damn it, and then I'll answer your questions. As soon as everyone stopped talking, the crowd parted as Robin walked through them and looked down at Naruto with teary eyes. He didn't say a word in response, but the look on his face said it all. I told you I could do it. Robin let out a small laugh through her tears, grateful that everyone was going home from this incident all in one piece. Yes, yes you did, Naruto. To you and Luffy, and to all of the others, thank you so much. Robin dropped to her knees and began sobbing freely into Naruto's chest. All he did was simply rub her back in a comforting manner as they all sailed off back towards Water 7. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to like, comment and subscribe, as well as checking out the author on fanfiction.net.